is celebrating ourselves. You have been a great steward of the responsibilities that have been placed on you. And as the Chief Justice Emeritus said, this is truly an impossible job. Being the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, the Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission, which is so busy recruiting for the judiciary, managing 6,500 members of staff in terms of their welfare, in terms of their discipline. It is a mammoth task. As if that is not enough, you are also the Secretary of the National Council on the Administration of Justice, and if you may ask me, coordinating all the actors in the justice sector is like a whole ministry of justice. You also sit in the Kenya law, and I also sit there, actually, I'm the chair. But I've always admired the way you have never been fastened at all by anything. Whatever comes, you take it with a smile. You have never even snapped. I've never seen you snap at anybody. So we have a lot to learn from you, especially how to manage ourselves as leaders and how to carry ourselves as leaders with dignity and humility. So on behalf of the judiciary, on behalf of the Judicial Service Commission, I see all the commissioners are here. Please be upstanding so that we can also see you. Because I'm your chair, I do not want to receive, what can I receive on Monday? Here they are. They can only give me a bad look. But here they are. These are the wonderful people who serve as commissioners of the Judicial Service Commission, and she has been a wonderful secretary. Thank you very much. So I want now to end my speech by inviting our chief guests to come and address you. This is a great honor because usually the Chief Justice speaks last, but today we said we give her the honor of speaking last and winding it for us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Justice. This is indeed a wonderful evening, and I'm so humbled and so excited just seeing everybody who's come here to be part of this special day for me. Honorable Chief Justice, please allow me to just ride on the protocols that have already been established by the MC. For me, this is a beautiful evening, and I'm so honored to be here among all these wonderful people. People I've interacted with in different places at different levels, in and out of the judiciary. Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice Mutunga, for that prayer. Commissioner Nzilani will do the translation at the right time. I also just want to acknowledge that Honorable Chief Justice Maraga Emeritus was here earlier, but just strictly observing the Sabbath. When it got to 6 p.m., he had to leave. And for me, it's quite an honor that the three Chief Justices under whom I've been so privileged to serve were all here this afternoon to be part of this great celebration. So today is a day that I formally say goodbye to colleagues with whom I have served for the last 10 years. And earlier on this morning, in a brief ceremony, I had the opportunity to hand over to Honorable Paul Ndemo, Acting Chief Registrar, formally, an event that was witnessed by the Chief Justice and several heads of courts who are also here this evening. I thank you all so much for being here. You could have chosen to be anywhere else this afternoon, this evening, but you've chosen to be here in my honor, and I do not take that for granted. I'm so humbled that, Honorable Chief Justice, you found it fit to host this glamorous event to celebrate the end of my term as Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. And it's very exciting just to see everybody, members of the NCG, our development partners. I can see all the heads of the civil society organizations that we've worked with at the NCG. Every individual here has been part of my journey as my leaders, as my colleagues, as friends, as justice sector players, as family, as peers, and even acquaintances. Exactly 10 years ago, that was on 13th of January 2014, I stood at the steps of the Supreme Court building and took the oath of office as Chief Registrar of the Judiciary for a 5-year term. And this was at a very challenging time in the history of our judiciary. And at the end of the 5 years, that was in 2018, I requested for extension of my term, and the Judicial Service Commission favorably considered this request, allowing me to serve for another 5 years. This time round, I did not ask for a further extension. It has been an amazing journey, one like never before for me. It just occurred to me that this is actually the job that I've held the longest in my almost 3.5 decade long career. It has not been by any means the easiest. Yet it has been the most fulfilling in terms of personal and professional growth, in terms of the achievements that we have been able to realize in the institution, and in terms of the invaluable lessons that I have learned from the experience. I am so grateful to the Judicial Service Commission, and thank you, members, for being here. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that you gave me to serve for the 2 terms. I can also see Commissioner Ominde, who was in the earlier commission. Thank you so much for being here. You have guided me throughout the journey. You have allowed me to operate in an enabling and empowering environment, without which we probably would not be here tonight. It is also very humbling that all the 3 Chief Justices under whom I've been so privileged to serve are all here this afternoon, a woman and 2 great men that have made a huge difference in the delivery of justice in this nation. In so many ways, each succeeding Chief Justice complemented the vision of the predecessor, making it very easy for me as the accounting officer and chief administrator to follow through with the implementation of the objectives set for the judiciary, with minimal or no disruption at all. And this I do not take for granted. Chief Justice Emeritus Dr. Willie Mutunga, you started the transformation journey in the judiciary and introduced significant changes, most of which we now take for granted. For example, tea for staff. It seems like a small thing, but it wasn't there before. You humanize the judiciary through the introduction of the open days and the judicial marches. You introduce the ambitious infrastructural expansion agenda that we continue to uphold. And you led us with humility and great foresight, and we remain grateful for placing us on the trajectory of transformation. Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga, who was here earlier, stepped up the transformation agenda, leading us through the COVID-19 pandemic period and literally forcing the implementation of the digital strategy at a time when we could have had so many excuses to postpone it. I personally would have abandoned it given a chance, just considering the volumes of complaints that we were receiving at that time, especially from the Law Society of Kenya. And I saw the president here. He was not the president then, but the Law Society worked so hard to get us to go back to the physical appearances in court during that time. And Honorable Justice Maraga put his foot down. I remember the LSK took us to the Senate. Governor, you were in the Senate then. I didn't know why they took us there, because they have no mandate over the judiciary. And when we got the invite, we didn't know it was about that. We were conned into believing that we were going to discuss our budget. When we got there, it was about trying to force us to open the courts so that people could attend physically. And yeah, so that was quite interesting. And what did I learn from this? I learned that if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you will find an excuse. And for as long as you're alive, no obstacle is permanent. Our digital strategy has become a true game changer in the enhancement of access to justice for all. We are now all so proud of the digital transformation of the judiciary, and as is our nature, we are probably about to start taking e-filing and virtual courts for granted. Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, you have stepped up the transformation agenda with so much passion. You have continued to launch e-filing in several courts while emphasizing the concept of people-centered justice. You have entrenched the specialized courts, including the small claims courts, the sexual and gender-based violence courts, alternative justice systems, just to mention but a few. Your passion for the value of shared leadership has been so empowering to me, and indeed for the entire judiciary family. Thank you so much for your leadership, your guidance, and your mentorship. You all have come through for me, sometimes in a very personal way. You allowed me to be myself, to make mistakes, and to learn from those mistakes, and to grow. Honorable Chief Justice, ladies and gentlemen, nobody teaches you how to be a Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. I was recently just recalling with amusement my induction, which took place at the Judiciary Training Institute, as it then was. We now call it the Kenya Judiciary Academy. The induction sounded like I was being taken through the Book of Lamentations For the avid Bible readers, you know what is in that book. And I left that induction a week later, a very anxious person. And it is that anxiety that made me realize that I needed to be very intentional and focused about what needed to be done. And turn the story around. And this was not just in terms of the mandates of the Office of the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, but also as regards creating trust between the judicial and administrative divide that existed then. I'm very proud today, ladies and gentlemen, that I leave a judiciary that is relatively harmonious. I appreciate the judiciary leadership, which is made up of the Chief Justice as the chair, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Director, Kenya Judiciary Academy, the President Court of Appeal, the principal judges of the High Court and courts of equal status, the Registrar Magistrates Court, the Registrar Tribunals, and the President, Kenya Judiciary Staff Association. I have enjoyed immense support from this team, for which I'm eternally grateful. I want to appreciate the team that has worked with me. I've had a great team, as DCRJ said, acting Chief Registrar, sorry. I want to appreciate all the directors and registrars that I found in office, and also those that joined us later. Some registrars really taught me everything that I needed to know about your respective dockets, which helped me to, at the beginning, to settle in very quickly and to make the progress that we all celebrate now. You have continued to be great pillars in providing the needed support for all our courts, and this is something that I do not take for granted. I want to appreciate all the judges, all magistrates and deputy registrars who have continued to serve all our justice seekers. As has been said by some of our speakers, the judiciary is sometimes, to me, the most misunderstood arm of government. In spite of the constant criticism, sometimes justified, but often unwarranted, you have remained steadfast in upholding the rule of law. And I've come to appreciate that criticism, however, must constantly remain a source of self-introspection for all of us. I want to acknowledge all our registry staff. You remain the engine within which delivery of justice would not be possible. The demands on you are many. Sometimes we are not so kind when making those demands, but I want to thank you for the work that you do each day to ensure that judges and magistrates can actually run the courts. We have done our best to ensure your working environment reflects the dignity of the institution of the judiciary, and where we have fallen short, we seek the pardon of all of us. Throughout my tenure, the judiciary has operated on less than 50% of its resource requirement. Much is expected of this institution that is so grossly underfunded. It has been difficult to fund all our priorities, which then becomes a source of frustration to some, at times leading to personal attacks on the holder of the office. I learned never to take any of this personally, appreciating that sometimes what people say and do could be a reflection of their own reality and not necessarily a true reflection of the situation. To all our stakeholders, members of the National Council on the Administration of Justice, where I have also served as secretary, thank you for your support. You have helped us collaboratively navigate the justice sector challenges of our courts. I appreciate the court users committees. The work that these committees have done has enabled the creation of a better environment for the administration of justice in our courts, and also providing data that is useful for policy formulation by the National Council on the Administration of Justice. Members of the National Assembly, thank you for being here, especially the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. You have supported our planning and budget proposals over the years. I'm more grateful to the Public Accounts Committee, as well as the Office of the Auditor General. The engagements we have had has enabled us to think through our accounting processes and put in place measures that have helped us become more accountable and realize a significant reduction in the audit queries. I want to thank the Council of Governors. They've been a great support to the judiciary, support that we do not take for granted. There are those that have given us land without your support. And I'm so grateful for the fact that you've come through for us, sometimes at very short notice, especially during the COVID-19 period. And I believe that this will continue even with my successor. The work of an accounting officer can be extremely stressful, with competing demands for resources within the institution and other interventions across the three arms of government. I've come to learn that the calmer you remain, the clearer you think, recognizing that all stress is temporary, yet the lessons that you learn from stressful situations can last a lifetime. It also takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving without letting your ego get in the way. And as I look back, I cannot help but appreciate every situation and circumstances that help me to realize just how blessed I am and be at peace with my inner self. As a believer in the Most High, one of the greatest lessons I've come to learn is that God uses our troubles, our bad breaks, our setbacks, and injustices for His own purposes, to move us into our destinies. I'm grateful to all who upheld me in prayer, some of whom are here. I leave the judiciary truly grateful and humbled that I survived even on days I thought I couldn't. The Judicial Service Commission is in the process of recruiting my successor. And as someone said earlier, I think it was PJ Ogola, that person is probably in this room this evening. And whoever that person may be, I just want to wish you all the best and pray that God's favor will be upon you, that you will work in the best interest of the judiciary, that you will serve in the interest of those that the institution is meant to serve. I pray that you will have all the support that you need from everyone, that you will have the courage to be imperfect and vulnerable, and that you will liberate yourself of the need to feel validated. You need to know that not everyone will like you, and that is none of your business. That is just how life is. Sometimes you will not have to remember anything. If someone tries to bring you down, they are already below you, and so you cannot be responsible. You cannot be responsible for anyone's feeling of inadequacy. Be forgiving, be understanding, but do not be naive. Stay strong. Even when things fall apart, just stay strong. Appreciate everything and be grateful for the little things in your life to find inner peace. Above all, be a good person and don't waste your time trying to prove it. It has been indeed a great privilege for me to interact with everybody in this room. All the wonderful people here, we've had a chance to do stuff together under our normal course of duty. Some more than others. Some have become close friends, and I will miss all those connections. I will miss the many, many discourses that we have had, all geared towards Sally, stand up. Sally was 10 years old, and she said, Mom, when you get there, don't embarrass us. And she said, Mom, I'll feel so bad when people say mean things to you. And she's now a young lady, so thank you so much. When we take these responsibilities, our families do suffer. You have remained the strongest pillar throughout my term. It has been a true blessing having you as my family. May God bless all of you. So where am I going to next? That's a question people ask you. Sometimes some are happy that I went. And I also realized that for the last 10 years, due to just the nature of that office, I became somehow illiterate. I stopped reading. So I plan to read all those books that I gathered. You know those books that you buy at the airport when you have a long layover and you're planning to read it and 10 years later you haven't read it. I plan to do a bit of that. I also want to write. I have so much to write about from my experience. I hope I'll get to do it because writing is also a very moody thing. I hope that the mood will come and that I can share my thoughts and my experiences with all you wonderful people. I also want to spend some time with my family. And if engineer agrees to sponsor, I want to travel as well. Um, so today, ladies and gentlemen, I leave the judiciary with no regrets, just lessons. I leave the judiciary with no expectations, but with lots of gratitude to God and to every person in this room and others out of this room who have been part of this amazing journey. Just keep serving. That's all I can say. Just keep serving. And may God bless you. For every kind word that you have said this evening, may God remember you. For every good deed that you have done, may God favor you. And with that, fare thee well until we meet again. Thank you all so much.
of Honorable Amadi is the story of all of us in the judiciary, Honorable Chief Justices, judges, everybody who has worked so hard. And to memorialize this achievement over the last 10 years, we're going to launch a coffee book, which I will kindly request the Honorable Chief Justice, I think the Honorable Chief, the retired Honorable Chief Justice, Willie Mutunga also, our chief guest, and the one who allowed you to work, who did not chase you out in the night, the Honorable CJ said, and Governor Sakaja. Now I'm properly remembering. Karibuni. We are going to launch the coffee book. I'll also request the heads of courts. Honorable Lady Justice Wanjiro Karanja, who is representing the Court of Appeal, the principal judges of the High Court, ELC and ELRC, to also join us so that we do these formal parts of the ceremony. Honorable thank you. Let us clap for them as they go back. Thank you very much. Celebrate this special moment. And we are in the digital era. In the judiciary, we are really digital. What you see is the QR code. And if you scan it, you will get to see a copy of the book. If you don't know, please ask your neighbor how to scan it. But we will be able to share that again later. We are now coming to the end of our ceremony, apart from the eating. Although we've had fun the whole evening, I hope. We are going to go do the gifting, and there was something that we need to explain. If you, just by being here, we are honored that you came. The Honorable Chief Guest is honored that you are here. But in case you brought a gift, if you would like to present it, there'll be a session for that. But if you wouldn't, there's also a gift tent, a gift desk on the far left, my far left, which is your right, perhaps, where you can record, it can be accepted. But there'll be a session for giving it. But if you didn't bring a gift, and we have a little card where you can write any message, we will collect them, and these ones will be in the memoirs of the Chief Registrar. One day she will be able to remember that the people who touched her lives when she was in her life when she was in the judiciary. I will now call upon Honorable Anna Suga and CHRP Dr. Elizabeth Kalei to preside over the next.
Thank you very much, MC, Honorable Judith Omange, the Honorable the Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court, our Chief Guest, Honorable Amadi, and my immediate boss, my mentor and destiny shaper. We are blessed today to be celebrating you for impeccable service for a whole decade. We really appreciate your mentorship and your service to the judiciary. Honorable Chief Justice, with your permission, allow me to say that during the tenure that Honorable Amadi served, 26 tribunals actually transited to the judiciary, and she established shared services, and tribunal members are here to celebrate her. I'm not sure which table they are seated in, but I know there are more than 15 of them at the corner there. So if you could wave to the public tribunal chairs, asanteni sana for coming. So we are going, that was not an applause really. So we are celebrating the CRJ's decade of ensuring that judiciary makes great strides. We shall do that with cake and dance. May I ask and request that the cake be brought in over here. And Honorable CJ, with your permission, I would like to invite you, the Chief Justice Emeritus, Dr. Willie Mutunga, our Chief Guest, Honorable Anna Amadi, and the Acting Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Honorable Paul Ndemo, to come and help us cut the cake to celebrate Honorable Anne Amadi's 10 years of service. A round of applause, please. Honorable Ndemo, let us cut the cake. DJ, could you please put for us that music, please? And we could be all upstanding to dance. Thank you.